Hello YouTube. Today I'm excited to tell you about the vibe coding apps that I use to experiment to see if I can create some tools, apps, simple little things that can enhance my teaching and my students' learning experience during my lessons. So these programs are designed to, well, process your input based on what you tell them and create reports, research, things online, do simple tasks, and even create apps that you have access to through links that you can then share with your students, with your fellow teachers, well, with people that you think might care and find it useful. And also for, this experimentation process to see where AI is right now and where it's heading. So let's dive right in. I'll show you my favorite apps that I've been using for the last couple of weeks. Let's go. So when it comes to vibe coding apps, and I call them vibe coding apps, but they're pretty much platforms that will process your task and then will, based on your input, they will structure it and go execute it for you. Of course, they're not perfect. They are very often super flawed, but it's actually very interesting to see and experimented with it, what you can get actually something from an idea that you have into a tangible product, a tangible app that you can play, you can share with your friends, with your students, with your coworkers, and possibly even clients. It's very useful to visualize your idea and get a demo platform to help your clients uh, actually see if this is something what they want, with design wise, simple functionality and so on. Platforms like Manus and GenSpark and other websites, they can also do different complex tasks for you, like going and researching different things online and then compiling them into an interactive report. Now, when I started testing Manus, I wanted to create an interactive app that I could later show to my friends and coworkers. And well, I thought, hey, what if we could create like a workplace communication simulator where you take on the role of a manager, actually an IT employee, and you have to explain yourself to your manager. So here is, well, a app that you can uh, interact with, and there are built-in responses based on what you write or you select. And based on your performance and how you interact with, well, in this case, your manager named Jordan, you either continue to progress within the app or the conversation will be over because let's say you've been too ignorant or impolite and so on. I can show you how it works, and in this case, I can just click and select answers that I think are the right ones, and then um, after some interaction, I will receive a summary of my uh, performance, right? I find this pretty interesting, especially as an app, simple activity for my students to help them, firstly, to practice some phrases and also as a reading exercise in some case. So this is something that, I can personalize, I can use it uh, for my environment I work in. Who is it useful for? I think like for teachers and educators who want to add a little bit more interaction and personalization to their lessons. I've used it with my business English students to, check their understanding, also practice diplomatic language, showing proactiveness in uneasy situations that might find themselves at work. So this is something that I found useful and my students liked it as well. What else did I create with Manus? Well, because logistics industry is quite close to me. As I speak with my students, they talk about these different audit apps and they show me different solutions. So hey, what if we could visualize it? What if I could visualize with a simple prompt and also giving the AI a little bit more context? Maybe I could create a clickable platform to could discuss with my student different features and vocabulary and so on. I described what I wanted and I got more than expected, I would say. It's not a working application. It has a lot of flaws, but it's not about that. It's something that I could take it to my students, say, hey, let's talk about these phrases over here. What do you think of the design? And it was a great speaking practice. Over here is also a different version because I decided to say, hey, let's run the task again. Let's see if it can do better. Did it? I don't know. It's just exploration. Now, if you take code generated from one platform, let's say Manus, into Gemini, and you paste that code in Gemini Canvas and say, hey, improve that code. And so thanks to Gemini moving the code from Manus to Gemini and working a little bit with that, I managed to create this simulation game. It's a career mode where you enter Mr. Davis's office. You have different metrics over here, and based on how you respond, you either move up the career ladder or, well, you're invited to explore a different career path, which means game over. And based on your responses, these metrics change here. Of course, there's lots of room for improvement because you would need to change and make sure that these metrics actually, there's some logic behind it. But for a speaking exercise, for like a filler, 5-10 minutes, okay, let's take a break kind of thing, this fits perfectly when it comes to my lessons and my workshops. Here's some other examples that I experimented with Gemini. It's for my students at a logistics company, and here you pretty much have to decide what you want to do based on the scenario, right? Most useful to give the opportunity to the student to practice specific vocabulary, mostly like this. Then here is an adapted exercise from a book and turned into an interactive one. Over here, I took a picture, I uploaded that picture into Gemini Canvas, and I said, hey, create a drag and drop exercise. And it did, and I gotta actually tell you that it works. I'm not sure what I'm entering right now, but it will check your answers, and it will tell you, oh, you did something wrong here. Very basic, but still, when you get experience with such apps and different small little platforms and programs, early development is just experimentation, but in the long run, it can really lead to quite interesting outcome and quite interesting projects. Here's another one, an idiom quiz that I can share. What is interesting is that I can share this app, right? And with my students, they can say, hey, here's an idiom quiz for you. I'll see you next week. Another platform that I found pretty interesting is EasySight, and based on what you ask to do it, it will create a simple interactive platform for you. I can go here. It also gives you access through a link, which is also very useful. And this is like a career mode for a paint shop manager. And I don't think it's playable because there's very little logic behind it. But if you wanted to design a concept of an app like this, I think it could be pretty useful. But the professional input from qualified programmers or software IT crew is something that you wouldn't be able to go without. So, but to kind of see what's the potential with such apps, and that's something worth checking out. So it's easy One is GenSpark, and GenSpark is actually a very interesting platform. It's more friendly when it comes to pricing, and it has so many interesting features here. The super agent here is something that you can start with, and you can personalize your input. You can attach files. They pretty much update the platform every week at least, and I've used it to create different reports. It can create a nice layout for your report. It can create pretty interesting presentations that I'm quite impressed with. And maybe I can also show you. It can create pretty interesting AI slides, and all you need to do, you can upload the pictures and provide a description. And here it created a pretty interesting, pretty nicely looking presentation that you can export to PowerPoint, to PDF, and even access it online. In most cases, you would maybe prefer default to traditional tools like just PowerPoint, but it's, from my aspect, good to check out and explore such apps, because one day you might actually find it useful and say, hey, this is a GenSpark. I invite you to check out what GenSpark offers, and I am using it quite often, and for app generation, for reports, sometimes AI slides if I want to show my students how the AI tools work.
You guys, if you want to see more of this kind of interesting stuff, especially about AI and how it can help teachers and other professionals, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. You won't regret it. Trust me. This Ranjit is telling you, don't miss out. Subscribe now and get more of this good stuff. ठीक है?
Thanks, Ranjit. Bye.
चलेगा boss. Take care and keep the learning going.